Vegeta was shocked by what he was seeing. Firstly, Kakarot was just walking and talking in his Super Saiyan form as if nothing was going on. Then there was this unknown nobody that turned out to be another Super Saiyan, which just made him madder. But what was grill him more was Frieza standing by the edge of the crater looking up at the two without a worry in the world. Frieza didn't even think that he was worth acknowledging, and now he was just falling further behind. He really wanted to charge at Frieza and finally help him meet his make, but flashbacks of what happened last time made him hesitant. Frieza was a bit annoyed at this other Saiyan that had seemingly been waiting for Goku to arrive. He seemed temperamental, but that was no bother to him, and he closed his eyes and focused on their conversation. He was sure Goku wouldn't mind, otherwise he would have told him not to listen in. He focused till their conversation came to him. He heard the unknown boy who had told Goku that his name was Trunks and he had come from the future. That piqued Frieza's interest, because if he was telling the truth, then he had a very interesting machine hidden somewhere, and he could only think of the power he could gain with the control of time. But he then caught on to the next part of the sentence. There are these androids. You were already dead when they came. Frieza listened intently. So in this future Goku comes from, he defeated me but later died before the androids came for him, but he was too weak to fight. The former Tyrant wasn't even hiding that he was listening to their conversation anymore, and the glare he got from Trunks was enough to know that it was not welcomed. Their eyes met each other as Trunks brought out something and handed it to Goku. Be sure to take that medicine, it's for your heart. Frieza looked at that medicine, then looked away back over his shoulder to the stare that had been annoying him for a while now. Vegeta, you know it's rude to stare, he said with a smug smile, and then he felt Vegeta's power level rise. That's a nice little power level you've got there, nowhere near me and Goku through, he said as he flew up to Goku and Trunks. Trunks' glare never left as he came up to them. Okay future monkey, he said before receiving a smack to the back of the head from Goku. Frieza sent his own tail whip, but Goku easily dodged it, causing the former Tyrant to huff. Okay Trunks, so if what you're saying is true, then we just have to train more, even though I feel we have already surpassed that level. Trunks just looked at him with a scowl, then turned back to Goku. Hey Goku, I heard a lot about you from my mom, but I never got to see you in action. Can I? Goku gave him his patented goofy smile, causing Frieza to let out a sigh as he moved some distance away. Trunks burst into Super Saiyan and looked at Goku, remembering something that he had wanted to ask him before. Why are you in Super Saiyan? Goku looked at himself as if remembering. Oh. This is Super Saiyan 2. I found that it's easier to get to the next level if you just make this your base form for a while. Got the idea from Frieza. Trunks looked at the Frost Demon. Yay, Frieza is in his final form all the time now without lifting a finger, so I thought, why don't I do the same? Trunks was nodding, then remembered what Goku said. Did you say Super Saiyan 2? Goku looked at him confusedly before nodding yes. All this information was surprising Trunks. Master Gohan had never spoken about Super Saiyan 2 or anything. If they had a power like that in their future, the androids wouldn't be a problem. He looked at Goku, his face set in a hard mask. Okay, I'm going to come at you with everything I got. Goku nodded with a smile on his face as Trunks charged at him with his sword, and the two clashed as Goku used his finger to defend against Trunks' sword with ease. While the two of them were having their clash, the other Z fighters were mesmerized by the power they were feeling, and some were terrified. Frieza, however, was bored. He had seen Goku do this all the time whenever a strong yarded appeared or a passing traveler, so he focused his sights elsewhere and felt a power level coming from space. "Ah, father, it seems you arrived even earlier than anticipated," he thought as a small smile appeared on his face. Vegeta was amazed. This was the power of a Super Saiyan, but then Piccolo began to notice something that was off-putting. Goku hasn't raised his power the whole way yet. That seemed to shock everyone. What do you mean? Do you feel the power coming off those two? Krillin said shocked. But Piccolo now was absolutely sure, I can only sense Trunks' power raising but Goku's is eerily normal as if he's not trying. That seemed to terrify some of the Z fighters more but only seemed to anger Vegeta. Kakarot, how dare you surpass me? Trunks broke off his attack with a smile on his face. Wow, you're really something. I guess Mom wasn't telling the truth. You're even more powerful than she said you were. He turned back to normal as the two landed and he stared back at Frieza with a furrowed brow. Don't worry about him, he's got me, Goku said, smacking Trunks on the back. If you two are done with your sparring match, I think my father has arrived. They both looked up as a ship landed with many others floating in the sky. During the display of the two's power, it seemed as if everyone had been distracted to not notice the approaching power level in an arriving ship. King Cold rushed out, killing one of the guardsmen that were in his way as he manned sight with Frieza, who had that same cold smile on his face. Frieza, I had heard that you were dead and I had come to avenge you, the king said as he moved a step closer to his son, but a being with golden hair stood between them. Out of the way, you imbecile! But Goku just scoffed. So you're King Cold? I had planned to defeat you later, but it seems that day came early. Was it really to avenge me, father? Or was it to kill whoever you thought defeated me, or better yet, recruit them for your cause? The king just scoffed, again thinking like your brother. Didn't I tell you it's dangerous to think for yourself? King Cold let out a roar as his power level shot up, surprising the rest of the Z fighters. Frieza knew that Goku told him not to attack while people transformed and wait for a good fight, but he was already bored of this. So as King Cold engaged in his final form similar to Frieza, he only had a moment to show off before he felt the piercing light of a death beam. He chuckled his chest as he fell to his knees as he felt some blood rise in his mouth. Frieza, what is the meaning of this? I'm your father. He was about to do the killing blow but felt his hand grabbed by Goku, who looked at him with a small smile. Let me take care of this. No matter how bad he was to you and how much you say you're like him, this is something I know you shouldn't do. Frieza just scoffed, putting his hand down as he turned to walk to the Z fighters. Goku looked back at King Cold, who stood up with a smile on his face. I see my son submits to you, then you must be more powerful than he is. Join me and we can rule the galaxy. No, Goku said, shocking the king as he put his hands together. The world has no need for monsters like you, and if they ever are there, I'll be there to stop them. Blue light started emitting from his hand as a small energy ball formed, and he stared daggers at King Cold. This king, a parent who had only raised their child to know only destruction and death, came. The surrounding guardsmen scouters started blowing up and the Z fighters were shocked, and they started getting a true glimpse into Goku's power. I will not tolerate this, King Cold shouted as he created a gigantic death ball and aimed it at Goku. He looked at Goku and threw the death ball. He then remembered just who he had to be: golden hair and T-lies. Just like those myths, those legends. A Super Saiyan. Goku unleashed a giant beam that pushed the death ball back, consuming it, and then before he knew it, King Cold fell victim to it. His screams echoed in the area as he vanished into the beam that continued upward into space. Everyone from the Z fighters to King Cold's men stood frozen in shock, all except for Frieza.